And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. On this week's Pop Culture Cosmos, TJ Johnson and I previewed the big upcoming Memorial Day holiday weekend for moviegoers out there. Plus, we cover so much more in the world of entertainment. So go ahead and check it out. Plus, what's up, Frank? Hopefully all is well with you, my friend. I also want to go ahead and mention that TJ also has some thoughts on the John Cena heel turn for the WWE and if it was a good idea and if it's been executed. So he has extensive thoughts on that. That will be on Apple Podcasts and also as well, of course, Spotify, Monday morning for you right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Indeed. Plus also as well, of course, don't forget, if you didn't get a chance over the weekend, the Lakerholics shared their thoughts in their season-ending Lakerholics spotlight. Hopefully they'll try to do more. I don't know when, but they said this was their season-ending Lakerholics spotlight where they discussed the season, what happened in the playoffs, and what they're looking forward to as far as changes. They also talk about Rob. They also talk about JJ. So go ahead and check it out on YouTube at Lakers Fast Break or wherever you get your audio podcasts. It's already there waiting for you to go ahead and listen to right now. Also, as well, go ahead and check out Joe Soro on the Joe Soro Experiment channel. That's available right now on playback and also his YouTube channel. He has some good shows there lined up and great conversation you can go ahead and check out today. Our good friend John Costa, Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner, he's posting a lot of shorts. So if you want to go ahead and check out real quick his shorts, go ahead and do so on his YouTube channel, Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner as well. Don't forget Empire Jeff TV, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. He's been doing a lot of 2K streams. So if you're into 2K, whether it's NBA or MLB, go ahead and check out what's going on with, of course, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Got to give him a big shout out. Empire Jeff TV covering the Lakers and Dodgers. The Dodgers. And what's up, Eric? I was thinking earlier today and seeing the results of the Freeway Series this past weekend. I know Joe wouldn't like to hear that. He's going to be on hopefully here in a few minutes. But I was saying, who's the only team the Angels can beat? Seemingly, it's the Dodgers. They can beat up. So if they play the Dodgers 162 games a year, I wonder what their record would be because they just manhandled them over the weekend. And yeah, you were there whole series. All right, Eric. I hope you had fun. Or kind of fun, or at least you hopefully had some good food. I saw Raphael there the other day. I know he was having fun, and I know he was enjoying himself, which was really great to see because he actually was showing his highlights. He was right there, right below. I think it was the right field bleachers. Raphael, if you're in the chat, or you coming on in the chat, let me know what's up. Oh, thank you, JSJ. No worries. That was a very good stream that we had as far as the playback is concerned. So just trying to keep it light as we can. Yeah. JSJ, imagine losing the Angels. I know, that's right. The only team the Angels can beat is the Dodgers. And the Dodgers seemingly would be leading, the entire MLB if it wasn't, I think they still are, or at least are close to it, if it weren't for the Angels. But I think things will even itself out after 162 games. The Angels, they're not good. They're not good. So here he is. It's a good man indeed. It is, of course, Joe Soro. Joe, great to have you here. I was just kidding your Dodgers, or our Dodgers, because I like the Dodgers. But the Freeway Series just ended. And I think if the Angels could play the Dodgers 162 games a year, maybe they would actually be relevant the way that they played them this weekend. I don't know your thoughts, my friend, on that. I mean, the Dodgers just didn't seem to have an answer for the Angels. I don't know why. I don't know why they couldn't figure him out. And then Chris Taylor, he was DFA'd and waived. That was kind of surprising. I understand he's not been great hitting, but his versatility, sometimes those things are hard to come by.
Well, Hae-Sung Kim probably put the death stab
The nail in the coffin.
Taylor. Yeah, that was it. The Dodgers, I just feel like it's a broken record. It's not just basketball. These are the softest pansies in the history of sports, in my view. I mean, it's like every 5 seconds somebody's got a broken nail. The second somebody throws a home run, pitches a home run, oh, they have to go on the IL. It's just a just
It's disappointing. I agree. It's just disappointing that these guys. It's a different ball game
exhausting.
now. Yeah.
It's exhausting how weak everything and everyone is. And I had some good discussions with Jeff today, and he's always going to be on the side of support, but I can't function that way. I don't support weakness, and that could be a subjective thing for a lot of people, but for me, how come Freddie Freeman can do it? How come Ohtani can do it? What the hell is going on here? Why can't these guys pitch for one goddamn week without having to go on the IL? It's aggravating. These guys are getting paid more money than anyone in the history of sports. Biggest pansies on top of it. It's aggravating.
They get a shoulder owie for just a second here, a little burn in their shoulder, and they go immediately on the IRs. It's really
I don't know what it's about.
Yeah, it's really overblown. Yeah. It's really overblown. I can't agree with you more. You're hitting it right on the head there as far as the frailty at what Major League Baseball is now from what you and I were used to as when we were growing up. You know, the pitching records that are out there, Joe, in this certain era of baseball, it'll never be touched. The Cy Young's wins, or even get into number of innings, strikeouts. Strikeouts may be approached because everybody seems to strike out right now, but anything pertaining to staying in there for any length of time, as far as on the pitching side, I don't think any of those records are even going to be close to being touched in today's modern baseball, because 4 innings and they're out, or like you said, 4 innings and they get an owie and they're on the IR. It's a whole different game than it is from what and like you said, you're even used to seeing over the years, what it once was to what it now is.
Well, it doesn't happen in football. You're stronger. Everybody's still playing, and I believe a lot of that is because they have to play.
Yeah.
And there's a mentality tied to it. I didn't get into too much detail through text messaging with Jeff or whomever. That's why there's a show. So this is the perfect forum to discuss it. But I haven't noticed it. I know that football has gotten softer based off of what they in the past, but it's really not that soft. It's just softer to the quarterback. But they hit the running backs just as hard as they have. They hit those receivers just as hard as they have, except they just don't do it across the middle. They got to give them a little bit of leeway, but they're getting the crap beat out of them. Linebackers, offensive linemen are all still very, very, very vicious to each other. In baseball and in basketball, they have trained these guys, and it's not just the players and the coaches and the owners, it's the fans that have accepted it and have enabled it.
The thing I want to ask you this on this, is it the fact that NFL is partially guaranteed? We know a lot of these salaries that are signed are like partially guaranteed, as opposed to the fully guaranteed of baseball and the NBA.
Yes, and I'm not going to let football go. Yeah, I'm not going to let football off the hook completely. They've made a mock of the Pro Bowl, which I used to enjoy very much back in the day when they would go to Hawaii and you'd see the best players play each other. They've destroyed that. You can thank Roger Goodell and the owners for that. And I don't know if people our age back in the 80s were saying the same thing about the people of the 60s. I don't think so. I would have been able to know that by somebody who was, involved with it back then. Somebody would have told me we were thinking the same thing, but I haven't had anybody. It's just life has gotten so easy, and it's a society will always kind of seep into sports, or vice versa. We just are a softer culture. We're a softer people because, but what's happened in I think the last century, 20.
Mhm.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna.
Okay.
I was on the last Pop Warner team in 1991, I believe it was. Might have been 1991. I was on the last Pop Warner team in my town that made cuts. I remember when I was a kid, not anywhere near the mindset that I have now, but I remember vividly being irritated by the fact that the following year they expanded the teams into another team because I think it was they probably saw the business side of it because you would pay a amount of money to join, but then they wanted kids to be participants as well. So on top of the fact that they doubled the teams, they didn't anyone after that was on the last team that had cuts. And I never understood that. I just never understood that. What was the deal? Sorry, am I running it? Was my signal bad or what?
Yeah, your signal's been bad the whole time. It's coming in and out. So that's it's at 4 bars now, but I'm just like, I don't know why it's still not coming in strong for you. So, but I agree with you. I agree with you on
I
guaranteed
was going to
money.
tell a story, but I guess I'm not. I don't know if anybody heard it.
We only heard partial of it on that. Just
Okay, I'll come back.
Sure.
I'll come back.
No worries, no worries. But I agree with you, Joe. While you're coming back in and out, I wanted to go ahead and mention that yes, I agree with you guys. Let me know on the internet on the group chat out there about your thoughts. Do you think? Do you agree with Joe that it is because of what we're seeing with the guaranteed money that maybe is causing a lot of the softness? Although we didn't see it from Denver today, I'm going to give Denver credit with Aaron Gordon gutting it out there. I am going to give them credit. Michael Porter Jr. gutting it out with the shoulder injury. Aaron Gordon gutting it out with the hamstring pull, the grade 2 hamstring pull. Normally, we're pretty hard on basketball players because they seem to be, out for, their broken toenail or whatever. At this point, I am going to give them credit with Denver today, getting out there as best they could. But I do agree with Joe 100% that the guaranteed money does make these players soft. The large amounts of guaranteed money is making these players really soft, Joe. And now you're good. Now you're good, by the way.
There's no. It's not just sports; it's everything, and you see people wilt under it because they don't want to have confrontation. They'll adapt to it because they don't want to be the nonconformist. But it's sports. It's supposed to be the manliest activity out there normally. And most of the people who yap and whine about being a tough guy, I have always found out that 90% of them are actually full of shit. Too. That doesn't help. So what's the definition of a tough guy? What's the definition of someone tough? Does it have to be physical all the time? No, it's a mental thing. It's always mental. It's always been mental. I don't think people realize how much mental controls the physical, right?
Yeah.
It's a confidence. It's a determination. And then you factor in finance and economics of it all. And that usually will always, I guess, mend the issue. Oh, well, I'm just trying to earn my money. And everybody's like, hey, man, he's trying to earn his money. But then once in a great while, someone backs up what you say. And it just so happened that that guy that did that was Mr. Shohei Ohtani, who's the best baseball player on the planet. Sorry, Aaron Judge, as good as you are, you're not better than Ohtani. And that's just what it is. I don't. It has nothing to do with whether he's a Dodger or an Angel or a Mariner.
I think he's having a better season, but a better player. No, I don't. Ohtani does more things, I believe.
Right. So he had the opportunity to sign a 15-year contract, and anyone would have given him a 15-year contract, including the Dodgers. But he said no. He said, I wouldn't want to diminish the worth of the contract that late into my career and look like a shell of myself, which is part of my irritation with Clayton Kershaw. My irritation with Clayton Kershaw is you are supposed to be the best pitcher of your generation. Now imagine this. Imagine being the best in general at what you do. And then you go to a league where you have a bunch of guys that are really good too, just like you. They were touted from when they were growing up. They were high school stars, they were college stars, or they were minor league stars, and then they become stars in the majors. Now imagine being the guy that's number one. There's no doubt, and a lot of people will not argue against this, that Clayton Kershaw was the best pitcher of his generation. Now, he may have not had success in the playoffs as much as we would hope that he would have, but that got skewed a little bit in 2017. And if anybody got screwed out of that Houston thing, it was Clayton Kershaw, because if you watch Clayton Kershaw pitch in that World Series, especially game one, and then the game that eventually killed them, which we ended up finding out what was going on, he would have been the World Series MVP, and that would have changed maybe the whole trajectory of his choking label. That game in 17, game 5 in Houston, Clayton Kershaw threw 52 changeups and not one swing and miss. That's virtually impossible that no one would swing at that unless they knew what was going on. So what's bothered me about his career's end is we've seen him become mortal when I don't want to see him mortal. I didn't want to see him deteriorate. We've seen how this has sort of happened with LeBron, maybe not in statistics standpoint, but in being able to be effective when it matters. So you look at someone like Ohtani, who comes out and says, yeah, I could have signed another. Now imagine this. It would have been another $70 million per, right? That would have been another $350 million possibly. Or maybe they would have taken a $50 million. Let's say he would have taken a $50 million a year number, right? That's another $250 million that he said, I don't want to go into that part of my career and look like a bum. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. I'm going to take a 10-year. I'm going to take a 10-year and finish it off that way. Finish it off so that you don't get a chance to see me look bad. But we don't have people that think that way anymore. Jordan did it. You saw a little bit of Larry Bird kind of try to get through the pain and back problems, but he finally kind of stopped. Magic, obviously, that's a different situation. Kareem, maybe his last year where he came up kind of mortal. You have all these great players that we've watched in our time, and it's nice to see that once in a while you get that guy that actually puts his elegance in front of money. I was sending you Vegas stuff today. I don't know if you read it.
Yes, I did.
I have to continue to reiterate this to every idiot that's around me. And I say every idiot, not in a derogatory term, because some of them are my family members, some of them are my friends, but they've diluted themselves because they've been suckered in by the message that they see every day on social media and in and around them. Well, it's about the money, Joe. Well, it's about the money. When it's always about the money, you're going to deteriorate the quality of everything. We live in a Walmart mentality. We live in a 99-cent mentality. And now it's starting to catch up to you because now they no longer can charge 99 cents anymore. And you still have that mentality. And that's what sports is. It's the mentality of the weak. Oh, save him for this. Save him for that. Save him for what? You want this guy to pitch for 40 years? How about we do this? How about you get everything you can out of someone for 10 years, and then you go find somebody else that can do another 10 years? That's how I would run it. And there's been guys that have done that. But it's just not popular anymore.
So, Joe, and thanks again to everyone for stopping by. It is, of course, Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. It's the Lakers Fast Break Snack Pack. Truly enjoy having you here. Hopefully you'll like and subscribe while you're here. If you can, please. It really helps out the channel, especially in the off season. I want to know from you guys out there and from you, Joe, out here, the reason why I wanted to go ahead. And you asked me what the topic was for today. And I was thinking to myself, now that the conference finals are all set with Oklahoma City winning today, which we'll go into, and I think it needs bear going into with Oklahoma City versus Minnesota. That starts, I believe, on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, Vari's Indiana Pacers head into MSG to face off against the Knicks. My question to everyone out there is, and I'm sure I'll get some feedback and comments like I always do on it, some of them negative, some of them blasting Luka, some of them blasting LeBron, etc. Will the Lakers, or can the Lakers, be in this spot this time next year where they're heading to the conference finals? I think it is doable. But again, it takes a full commitment from Rob and the management to go ahead and build a team to do so. To find out what Joe has been asking for, I do think you need to find out going forward what's going on with LeBron once and for all. He just can't play games with us anymore. We need to know what's going on with LeBron. Is he going to go ahead and just pick up the 1 year? Is he going to go ahead and do another one-on-one? Is he going to be able to take for less money? Is he going to be, what is that situation going forward? Because like Joe says, it's at times paralyzing and handicapping the team on how you can build going forward. But I think there are things that can help the Lakers in the interim. But the thing, as we saw, Joe, with 3 of the 4 teams, and to an extent, you could also say New York, because their bench gave them a lift as well during points in this previous playoff round with the Boston Celtics. You need depth. You need 7, 8 players at least that could come in and be effective for you. We saw it with OKC today, Joe. They started off really slow. I attribute it to 7th game nerves because they had not been in this position before. They really looked nervous as a team. They looked like they just weren't ready and had a lot of nerves. But the thing is, they still tried hard on the defensive end. And even though it was 21-10 to start off the game for Denver, you could see that Denver was just not getting enough of a buffer, because you knew that some point the nerves for OKC would wear off and they would get back in this game. And I think Mark Daigneault, he did a good move, Joe. He did something that reminded me of what Frank Vogel did in Game 6 of the bubble series against Miami. He put in Alex Caruso right away to make a difference. And in the case of Game 6, it was him starting. In the case here, he had him starting the second half, but he made a major contribution. Their most experienced guy coming in there and really snapped that team into shape. And once they got up in the second quarter, that was all she wrote. But it just reminds me, you have that depth. If you have that depth coming off your bench, it's just so much better for your guys, especially in the wars that we've seen so far in the playoffs, Joe.
Yeah, the similarities of the Oklahoma City roster is much like how the Niners had, and I know Mr. Purdy up now. He's Mr. Purdy with his $265 million contract.
That's Purdy for me, my friend.
Yeah, he what he did, and it's unfortunate that they couldn't close it a few years ago. to win a Super Bowl. But what that did by hitting on a huge, you could call it a lottery ticket, with him being picked last and being able to play for very, very minimal money, they were able to build around that quarterback and compete for a few years and really stack their depth. Oklahoma City's in a similar situation in that they are using one of them especially, who's going to likely be a star. I mean, I think they're 25th in salary in the NBA. Shea Gilgeous is getting his $35 million, which in a lot of ways might be a bargain right now, compared to some of the guys that are getting paid $50, $60, $70 million, right? Then you have Hartenstein, who got his contract, and that's a pretty friendly contract. After next year, it's a team option. They can do whatever they want with that. And then everybody else is making $16 million and below. Chet Holmgren, who's a big part of their team, is only making around just under $11 million.
He's on a rookie contract. Yeah.
So now they could go get Caruso. They could go get exactly what they needed, which was they sacrificed a good player in Mr. Marks, Money Mark's favorite player, Giddey, by getting a championship breed to come help you win. It's not going to be a coincidence, should Oklahoma City win it all, that he plays a huge part in that. And I'm cheering for Oklahoma City if that's the case. If that ends up being the story, that they win it because Caruso was that missing piece, it only adds to the pain, but it also adds to the fact that a lot of the Laker fans that were upset that he was gone were right. Those guys, you cannot put a price on guys like Alex Caruso. And the fact that you found him in the weeds hurts even worse. Much like Purdy, right? Last pick of the draft.
I was just going to say, that's a good point that was brought up. And Westbrook thought he was going to go to the finals, Mr. Hudson, because I mentioned that they just had to snap out of it. OKC had to just get out of nerves, and bringing Alex Caruso in was part of that. But Joe, another key part of why we talk about depth being important for the Lakers to get a 8-man rotation that can contribute and play like that. You saw today Westbrook and they came off the bench, and immediately, Joe, they went a minus 14. They when they on that first stint that those guys played, minus 14 right away. 3 turnovers for Westbrook. He did hit a 3-pointer, but yeah, it was just they were up 11, and when he went out of the game, they were down 3. Joe, I think that says it all.
Yeah, I wasn't
Watson, excuse me. Yeah,
I never understood the infatuation of Westbrook from Jokic.
Live by the Westbrook, die by the Westbrook.
Yeah, if there's a friendly thing there going on, I understand, sure. But Russell Westbrook has shown his entire career that...
Joe, wait, hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Maybe they met for dinner at a barbecue. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's not always the smart move to listen to players, no matter how great they are, on how to construct the roster. It's one of those things that I always look back on with the Bulls in the 90s with Jerry Krause. Now, the problem with Jerry Krause was he was a petulant child when it mattered, so it exasperated it a little bit. But Jerry Krause made some really good acquisitions, made some really good decisions at the beginning of his career, late 80s, early 90s, and helped build that team so that Michael could do and the Bulls could do what they ended up doing. He was mad that he didn't get enough credit. At the end of the day, it's still Michael Jordan is on your team. Nothing works unless that guy is there. So there's always that, did I get enough credit? Why am I not getting enough credit? It goes back to just children. A lot of times these guys are like children. And, Michael and Pippen didn't handle that either. And Reinsdorf should get a lot more of the blame, too, in those situations. So in this case, I would have respectfully told Jokic, I'm sorry, I'm not bringing Westbrook to this team. Does that mean he's going to opt out in 2027 because of it? I doubt it. But I don't think I would have brought in Russell Westbrook. He's too aggravating to watch game in and game out. He's kind of a heavier version of LeBron. LeBron will do some amazing things and then equally do something really stupid. Russell Westbrook is times 10 of that. And that plays a lot of it plays a lot of like what happens when a player's skill set is deteriorating. They think they can do what they did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, but they can't. But their brain won't allow them to accept that their body's not letting them do what they want to do. And I don't want to dog on Denver on this. Denver was competed in this series. At least they didn't bow out like the Lakers did against the Timberwolves. They played their rear end off, and they played the best team in the West, and they almost beat them. I don't think there's any shame in that. And look at what Aaron Gordon did. He was supposed to be out a month. A grade two pull of the hamstring is a month long. I thought for sure, even if they had won this, he'd be out, and maybe he would have. But maybe they wanted to win this to see if they can make it work. Maybe shoot him up or whatever, right? But Denver played their rear end off. At least they went out shooting instead of laying down like a bunch of cowards like the Lakers did.
Yeah,
and that's
I agree.
That's probably harsh. And I go back and forth on this all the time. And the subject that we're talking about now about softness and this and that, I almost get suckered into that a lot. And I get labeled upset, calm down, high blood pressure, angry, even by people who know me. I'm a reactionist. I am not sitting around festering over things. I react. I react in that moment. And when that moment is cleared, I am now back to normal. And I always said that there are sociopathic tendencies in my personality. Now, if I had grown up in a bad environment, maybe that would have been a bad thing. But since I probably grew up in a good environment, I use it to my advantage. I use it as a tool for good. And it's worked out in my life. It's worked out a lot. I'm not trying to be a psychologist here for anybody, but this is the ebb and flow of performance. Can you perform?
You're correct, Leon. Murray didn't show up today. I don't know if he was still affected by the illness. MPJ had his shoulder issue. He's going to have surgery on it. And Gordon got it out today. I mean, say what you want about Denver, and I know we as Lakers fans are probably, many of us are rejoicing in that they lost. They did get it out. They tried to.
Mike Malone is not on that team, so I actually did not have any ill will towards Denver. Mike Malone was the only guy that I was just like, eh. But it looks like Denver got tired of his shit too, and that's why they let him go when they did.
And the GM, they got tired of those two squabbling with each other. They sent them both
GM probably was right.
Michael Malone. But the lack of depth showed, which again brings me back to the conference finals for possibly next year and with the Lakers. Again, I think depth is something that I think has to be noted. 3 of the 4 teams are at least 8 guys deep. New York, they come at you with 7 good guys themselves, with Mitchell Robinson and Miles McBride playing significant minutes off the bench themselves. And obviously their defense was key to their victory over Boston as well. So with that, I know we need a center. I understand the need for the big guys, and I understand the need for a two-way wing as far as the starting lineup to play alongside Luka and whatnot. But I do not forget, Joe, that we have to build up this roster so that there are more significant contributors, consistent contributors coming off that bench. And I've heard DFS, that the trade has been praised. I heard Jamie say that was season altering. I heard others on podcasts praise how good it was as well. I think it was okay for what it was. But then again, ultimately, he's a 10-point a game player that you have to commit, possibly if he picks up his $15 million option. We'll see. Otherwise, he's looking for something longer in the offseason. So is he going to be worth that as an over 30-year-old player? He's 31, I believe. So that's a question for the Lakers. If they let him walk, then that's probably the best defender on the team there. Somebody that Luka likes to play with. You'll have that has to come to mind. But for me, the goal also as well, along with getting a big man and two-way players, how can we get more depth, more consistent contributors on this team for next year so that we could possibly be in the conference finals next year, Joe?
The advantage they have is they do have an immense amount of expiring contracts. Those always will have value. And they're going to have to use those tools to see if they can bring in either replacements that are better or maybe use those guys to go for a huge home run. I just don't think there's a home run available, a big time player that would request to come to LA at the moment. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that would be. There's an opportunity. They have some tools to go get a center with those expiring contracts. The realization of that, or the realistic players that come to mind, is somebody like DeAndre Ayton out of Portland. That would be unacceptable for some, but there's got to be a give and take. Who is going to send out a great center that they like? No one. So you pick what you can get. But then again, you have to, is Portland going to help the Lakers by letting them get a legitimate starting center who can actually play basketball? Attitude, bad or not, it doesn't matter at this point. And the DeAndre Ayton attitude thing, I've maybe I'm naive in thinking this, but he never had an attitude problem before he had contract issues with Phoenix. And this is, I'm not saying Phoenix was wrong in not committing to him, because committing max money to a player you feel isn't giving you max results, that's always a tricky place to be. However, I'd like to think that, let's say if the DeAndre Ayton type player is available and all they want is a first-round pick and some expiring contracts, I think that makes a huge upgrade right out of the gate. That's the first thing that's come to my mind. What is realistic? What is available right now? The only thing I'm thinking is, do they want to get rid of him for just a first-round pick?
Joe, well, hold on. Leon, again, Gafford and anybody from Dallas, great idea. But if Nico trades again with the Lakers anytime in the next calendar year, I think he will be marched right out. It doesn't matter if they're getting Cooper Flag for the #1 pick. He will be marched out of the arena, and he'll be sent packing. Again, just from a PR standpoint, trading with the Los Angeles Lakers anytime soon, Joe, I don't think really. I don't think it's good for PR. I just don't think it's good.
Yeah, the Dallas thing probably is that ship has sailed. I don't see any issue. I don't see a future there, at least not for
Leon. He would be investigated by the league for that.
I don't know if he would be investigated, because they're probably all in on this if there was something to investigate.
That's true.
The Lakers need to find a way to at least get in one really, really, really good player without risking their depth. So if you're talking about their depth, can they get a DeAndre Ayton, who is a 17-10 player, who would probably play a lot better with a Luka and a LeBron, and not lose your other guys? Can you get them for expiring contracts of players that you don't really need? And then can you figure out a way to maybe get a replacement? Because Vincent would be part of that deal. as an expiring contract. Kleber would be a part of that as well. But can you get that player? Can you get that starting center without giving up Reeves and Rui? At least in that deal. If the Lakers are able to do it, then they're on the road to something very interesting. They could still trade Reeves and Rui, which I'm not against. Do whatever you can to get better talent. Do whatever you can to get better roster construction. But if you can get two players that are hugely impactful, one is going to have to be acquired without using the others as part of the deal. That's
just so hard though with Ayton and that 34. That's or around 34 right now. It'll probably be changed obviously when they trade, but still you're talking mid 30s. It's kind of hard.
Well, that's why you include a third team. It's not. It can be rocket science to a degree, but these guys do this for a living. You probably have to factor in a third. So you find a third team that you can work with, and then this is your job. Can you make it? How come Presti can make these amazing deals? How come Stevens can make these amazing deals? They keep acquiring these amazing players for nothing, yet why can't the Lakers do it?
A lot of it.
Brad Stevens did it with Drew Holiday.
I think timing also. You got to remember, Joe. A lot of these moves he made with the core. Still, a lot of them are on their rookie contracts. That's a lot of flexibility he could get for Hartenstein and then Caruso, because a lot of those players are still outside of SGA on a rookie contract.
Yeah. I don't believe in a Laker tax, by the way. I think that's hogwash. If there was a Laker tax, we wouldn't have gotten Luka for $4 and a quarter.
Yeah. I think that Laker tax thing went away.
Yeah. It's just like this everything's fixed bullshit. Okay, if it's fixed, show me proof. I'm tired of this yapping from nonsense. Like, tell me where you found this information. I don't care how weird it looks. Okay, I saw a video of a kid when they were kids years ago at Disney World, and then the girl who was 8 years old, she's showing this picture to her now husband. Her husband was in the background on a stroller the same day. And by the way, one of them was from New York. The other one was, I think, from California. So it wasn't like one of those things where they would have eventually been there if they were living there, right? Two different coasts, same day, they actually happen to get married. Like, these things happen in the world, guys. Weird things like that happen all the time, and we think it's some kind of divine intervention or somebody speaking to us. More often than not, it's not. You ever heard of the term, it's a small world? We can find any weird thing into anything. We can pick and choose what we want. Oh, look what happened in 1978. And then exactly 25 years later, look what happened here. Isn't that kind of weird? No. Why is it weird? Why? Because they had even numbers when it happened? I don't get it. Exactly, Joker. That's a good term to use. It's what it does is it's a dopamine hit. It's an excuse for failure a lot of times. Oh, it's rigged. I feel, it's rigged. This is rigged. This is okay.
I just don't think the optics would be there, Jay. I understand that maybe the Mavs need a player like Austin Reeves right now, but the question goes, if he does make a trade tomorrow with the Lakers for Austin Reeves, the question from the Mavericks fan base was, why in the hell didn't you get him in the first place in the Luka trade? You could have gotten an AR in that Luka trade. Could they not have, Joe? I think they easily could have asked for AR and they would have gotten him, Joe, in that trade.
Yeah, they could have. And I think there was some talk that they did want him, but Rob said no. And when you find out more and more about what was going on, it just looked like there was desperation on Dallas's part to get rid of Luka.
Yeah,
There was just
I just don't
something
think
going
it's
on
good
where
optics.
they wanted him gone.
I just
What
don't
a-
think it's good optics for Nico. As much as I would like it, I just don't think it would happen just
Well,
because
it's
of the
not. It
optics.
doesn't matter anymore now. You got the first pick. You got Cooper Flag.
Yeah,
We
they
don't
do
know.
need they do need a guard in Dallas
We
because of
don't know if
Kyrie's
Cooper
injuries.
Flag's going to be better than Luka. Chances are he's not. That's asking a lot.
By the way, Mark, just to let you know, the Tuesday game will be the Western Conference Finals, and Wednesday, Indiana will be at MSG. Just to let you know. Your Thursday, our Wednesday. Just want to let you know. Mavs has Max, Clay, Kyrie, Exum, and Dinwiddie. Do they really need Austin? Well, Dinwiddie is a free agent. Max is not a point guard by any stretch of the imagination. Clay is not someone that can play either position. They need someone, Joe, that can facilitate on offense and also be able to score on offense. And Clay is a shooter at this stage of his career, and that's pretty much what he is. Kyrie, remember, has a knee injury, osmosis, or was it Achilles? It was ACL or Achilles. Achilles. Okay, so he's out for
Oh
an
wait,
entire year.
was it?
I think it was Achilles. I think you're
Yeah.
right. I think it was Achilles. Was it ACL? I'll have to check. Exum, they just don't have enough faith in. They've every time he
Yeah, it
seems
was
to get
ACL. Sorry, it was ACL.
as ACL. Okay, so yeah, Exum is just, even though he was drafted in the league as a point guard, never really developed as one, and now it's just become. He got back. Remember, he was waived. He was playing back in the Australian league and came back and became a specialist, a 3-and-D specialist. Is pretty much what he is at this point. So yeah, they don't have someone that can play the 1 and 2 position as far as someone that can facilitate and play one for now. But when Kyrie gets back, if they re-sign Kyrie, which might be another question, who would someone that can play off of Kyrie, which Austin, as we've seen, can do from time. Yeah, Achilles would have kept him out 2 years. Yeah, so it's an ACL. But yeah, Joe, again at this point, I think we do need to. I think we do need to look at other places besides Dallas to see what we can do to build up our roster. But I think it's imperative, again, to not only look at the places that we need, but the places that we also need to go ahead and take care of. And the fact is, our bench was one of the worst in the entire NBA all season long. Does not matter if it was before or after the Luka trade. The statistics bear itself out. The Lakers just had a terrible bench all year long. And this is something that didn't change. It's something we talked about. Part of the reason why Joe and you and I had the Lakers 8th and 10th respectively finishing in the West was because of the fact that their roster 1 to 15 just didn't look that good. That has to dramatically change. Now the Lakers, like you said, have a lot of expiring contracts they can move in the offseason, so they can do things to go ahead and fill in some of the blanks. So it doesn't look like in some cases, like for instance, Denver, where because of their salary structure, it's going to be a lot harder for them to go ahead and build depth. For the Lakers, they can do these things. Do you think Rob is up to the challenge?
Well, despite what they end up doing, even if they bring in the necessary parts, I'm still going to be watching what they do at the end of games. And will JJ Redick learn from his major mistakes at the end of the second half of the season? Not being able to keep a consistent, not be able to create plays in crucial moments. It doesn't matter how good the parts are at that point if you keep making boneheaded plays when it matters. Are you going to put the ball in LeBron's hands at the end of games still? If you do, history says it's not going to work out for you. That's probably my main concern right now with this next year. Besides the fact that I'm praying and hoping that there isn't an extension. if there's an extension, this thing is going to go off the rails anyways.
So Darren, you make a good point. Rui plus AR is good trade bait. So you've got your. Would you consider AR and Rui your third and fourth best players right now on the Lakers roster?
Yes.
So they are at what some would perceive, especially in AR's account, very underpaid or undervalued in their contracts. So the combined, if you go by off of this year's salaries, about 31 million. So if they were to get traded during the summer, low 30s, mid 30s, that gets you close to Ayton. But trading those two guys for just Ayton, that doesn't help your depth. That doesn't help your roster. You get possibly a center that could, if he's got his right mindset on there, that could be somebody that could be your everyday center and could do well in that role alongside Luka and LeBron. But that's again, that's the paradox between what the Lakers need to do is they do need to build depth. They do need to go ahead and fill holes and fill spaces. AR and Rui, if they were even have higher value contracts, let's say they were both earning 27 and 20 million instead of 17 and 12 million or 14 million, excuse me. It's just, it really is, it's harder to move those guys for substantial things based on the salary that they have. Good valued contracts that they are makes them also a little bit harder to trade and get the value, commensurate value back, does it not?
This is not about getting what we want. We're not going to be able to get what we want as long as LeBron's contract is there. This is about being realistic on what could be available. And even talking about a DeAndre Ayton might not be realistic because why would Portland want to make LA better?
Well, Portland wants to get rid of their top three guys. I talked to you about it before.
But the thing is, Ayton is an expiring contract. That plays a whole different ball game too. I'm just saying you have to look at this from so many angles. It's not just one focused area. Okay, we need a center. Okay, I understand we need a center. But if you're going to trade Rui and Reeves for this center, whom is not going to be a game-changing center, much like on DeAndre Ayton won't be. But if you can acquire him without giving up Reeves and Rui, you at least now have a shot at maintaining some depth. This is about depth. And if LeBron is coming up lame at the end of games, which he has the last 3 seasons, then maybe there needs to be that much depth. DeAndre Ayton, I don't care how bad his attitude is, guys. This team needs talent, and he has it, and he's available. He plays. It's not like he's sitting like Ben Simmons for 3 years and then shows up once a week during the month and then goes back out and doesn't do anything. Ayton at least plays. It's not a terrible move as long as you don't relinquish your depth.
Another
you
name
use
that's
your
been
expiring
mentioned,
contract. So let's put it in perspective here.
Okay.
Imagine this. What do you think the Minnesota Timberwolves series would have been had you switched out Gabe Vincent, who did absolutely dick, Kleber, who was injured the whole time. He couldn't do anything really anyways, even though he played for a few minutes. He's not there. Doesn't matter. And then you factor in whatever filler you want in there underneath for DeAndre Ayton. You think that the Lakers would have been better with that guy up front? Yeah. You give up expiring contracts, a first-round pick that you do have, and whatever filler. Now, my trade thing is going to likely include a third team because the Lakers don't have enough money to send to cover that $35 million. They're going to need a third team. You got to make that happen.
Let me ask you this, though. Let me ask you this, because Portland is also going to have to seriously think about tanking one more year because that draft in 26 is really intriguing. Like you said, Ayton is expiring contract, so that's also something to think about. I know they want to get rid of Grant in the worst way because he's still got 3 or 4 years left on his contract. Anthony Simons has also been discussed as well, going to Dallas if they want to work out a trade there. What are your thoughts, though, on Kessler? I know we've come back and forth on Kessler. He's on a rookie contract. It's a very cheap contract. You do not have to trade Rui or AR for him. What do you think? It's Danny Ainge you're dealing with, so he always tries to drive a hard bargain. But you have done trades recently with him, so he is willing to trade with the Lakers. What are you willing to give him for a guy like Walker Kessler who can solve, or at least do a great bit to put a lot of things as far as rim protection and rebounding in the right direction?
I don't think he's going to trade Kessler for just a first round pick and expiring contracts. If that's your question.
Any
And by the way,
swaps?
folks,
You don't think you can add any swaps?
something to consider. DeAndre Ayton is going into his last year's contract. What do people usually do when they're on their contract year? They play their rear ends off because they want to get another contract. That plays
Correct.
into the Lakers' hands. I want you guys to open your ears a little bit. Again, I'm going to say this one more time, and then I'm going to just accept that some of you are not hearing me. This has nothing to do with me wanting DeAndre Ayton. There's several guys that I would rather have than DeAndre Ayton. I'm in the mode of what is realistic and what would work to where you don't have to relinquish Rui and Reeves. Because if you're going to trade Rui and Reeves for DeAndre Ayton, you just eliminated your depth again. It becomes a lateral move. You still need the scoring from a guy like Reeves. You still need the scoring from a guy like Rui. Rui had his best playoff series of his career. And sometimes guys flourish later. And it looks like Rui might have turned a corner there. Continuity is also important. It's a lot of things to factor into this. But if you're going to do a lateral move, trading your expiring contracts or your third and fourth best guy on this team so that you can cover another gap that you have, well, what about those two gaps that you relinquish? That's going to be the question you have to ask yourselves.
Let me ask you this. Dalton in a number one?
For who?
Maybe a pick swap as well? For Kessler?
You think Danny Ainge is going to do that?
I'm just guessing because, again, it's up to Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge had a terrible lottery. They're one of the teams that really they sucked in this year's lottery.
If it's a first and connect for Kessler, hell yeah. That's huge.
I'm just asking because the salaries they don't need because Kessler's only being paid $2 million a year. So that's why I'm saying it's a possibility because the fact that just money wise they can't unless you started okay, if you want Austin, okay, then you're gonna have to do X, Y, and Z in order to get there because Kessler's on a rookie contract. So I'm just throwing that out there as far as that is concerned. But again, because Utah has another year of looking straight in the mirror at another tank in order to get better for 2026. Possibility they could even trade Lauri Markkanen, which would be hilarious because of what they did to try and sign the extension on a specific date so that he would be not tradable, this time last year. So we'll have to see. Why are you repeating
that deal is I'm sorry, man. I don't even think Lauri Markkanen is worth half of the money he's getting paid. That is one of the worst contracts I think in the NBA.
Yeah.
That was a bad deal. That was a really bad deal. Yeah. I don't see it's going to be an interesting offseason, guys. This whole apron thing is going. I think we might not be paying attention to what may be happening here. Something we maybe never have seen before. We might see so many moves, it might look like the NFL.
Because the free agent market is not that good this year, guys, and only one team has cap space in the Brooklyn Nets, and not everybody's going to go to the Brooklyn Nets. So my guess is there's going to be a lot of trades this summer, Joe. A lot.
I agree. I think you're right. I think it's going to be probably based off of common sense that a lot of these guys are not going to go venture into that apron area. If you think if teams like Indiana and New Orleans, if they're stubborn about not even getting to the luxury tax, You think those guys are going to want anything to do with the aprons? Hell no. I think you are going to see more trades this summer than you ever have in your life.
Yes.
Now, that's a good thing for the Lakers because that means you'll see a lot of, hey, can you hook us up? Hey, can you help us?
Hey,
So
I need
now
a third team on the deal. Hey, Rob,
Right.
are you there? I need a third
Right,
team.
right. The Lakers right now, if you really want to know what would work and what would get them to the conference finals next year, they have to replace 2 starters that are starting right now on the team. 100%. They have to be bona fide starters, a center, obviously, and then you can put in a 2, preferably a 2, or a 3, whichever comes first. And you're going to move Austin or Rui to the bench when you do those deals. Should you keep those guys? Because
Which will piss him off. Because he has, I told you, Joey, he can waive his player option in the summer next
here's
year
the thing.
in a year that there's going to be a good free agent market.
So look, man, the Lakers didn't make Austin Reeves stink in the playoffs again. I'm sorry, we can't go around trying to appease Austin Reeves for whatever
No,
he
I
wants to do
understand.
next
I
year.
understand that, but again,
He's going to be valuable in the regular season, but once playoff time comes, you better get ready to maybe play off the bench a couple in some of these series.
I'm not saying I disagree with
That's
you.
where
The
JJ
slightest
needs
on that.
to communicate well. That's where JJ needs to communicate well, and that's the difference, man. If that's going to be the case, I have no intel that Austin Reeves is going to go nuts, but it's probably will because it is a contract year. But look at Caruso. Did you ever hear him complain about his time? You never hear a damn thing. Especially with a guy that every time you put him in the starting lineup, your team ignites.
And OKC just signed him to a fat extension during the year, Joe Caruso did, because they knew. They understand what value he brings to the team.
So there's 2 things that are coming with this. If Oklahoma City wins it all, it validates how they operated in terms of what we were discussing at the beginning of the show. Look how they drafted, being able to use those rookie contracts in starter positions where they were making a huge impact with those starter money, right? Then you have that one star that's not even making remotely close to what the big stars make, 50, 60. He's actually making only 38. Those things all help in depth and roster construction of Sam Presti. Sam Presti wins the championship this year. If they win the championship this year, he essentially has one of the greatest general manager seasons that you could ever have without big names being acquired. There's no one had a better summer than Jerry West in 96. That will never be topped. But those were big names. And at the time, we didn't know two of the 3 whether they were going to be what they became. That was more kind of retroactive that we found out. But this could go down as one of the greatest seasons and he won executive of the year already, right? So him pulling Caruso out of nowhere after all this, and then they go on and win a championship, shit. He should have another award. They should have a finals MVP for the executive at that point because he absolutely murder it. And the other part is if the Knicks win it all, that validates Tom Thibodeau's philosophy of basketball and guys like Josh Hart, guys like Bridges, who hasn't missed a single game. You hear me? You hear that, folks? He hasn't missed a single game since he's been a pro.
It's very impressive.
And it validates the trade.
Yeah.
Now, there's also this part. Maybe I've been digging a little bit to try to make this all fun for myself. I don't know. But wouldn't it be cool, too, if Minnesota and the Knicks played against each other a week before training camp, the season started, and here, they made that huge deal, and look, now they end up being in the finals? I think that'd be a cool story, too.
Well, Brian, your favorite Randall in a very weak free agency is going to renounce his final year in his contract because, obviously, as you know, he's been playing so well in the playoffs when it matters the most. And he has already earned himself a nice contract in the offseason. It just depends on who he's getting it from and how many years. Because as Joe and I have indicated, this is going to be a weak free agent market. Now, the question is, will it be just Minnesota bidding against themselves, or will someone else come into the fray on a sign and trade, or will Brooklyn be interested in his services or someone else? Very interesting to see how that plays out because, again, Joe, only one team this offseason actually has cash to spare. That's the Brooklyn Nets. By the way, thank you, Ben Simmons, finally for doing something right for the Nets, and that was, letting that contract expire. So they have the only one. It's very interesting. They have a very interesting offseason as much as any team out there. They have 4 first-round picks, Joe. They have 40 million plus in cap space, I think is what's been rumored, what's been talked about. And again, I understand they're nowhere near close to being a winning team, but it's interesting. You have a tendency when you have like this money to go on a shopping spree and you get players you probably wouldn't normally get. So it'll be interesting to see how they interact with other teams, or do they become a player like, say, for instance, like that you're talking about, third team? What if they become the proverbial third team and let's say a Lakers trade and just keep getting picks and say, okay, you want to send me some cap filler? Okay, there you go. Send me a contract you don't like. Send me a Jared Vanderbilt or a contract that you don't like, and I'll make it worth your while. They may be doing a little bit of that on this offseason. That may be the smartest move for Brooklyn if they tank another year, get some contracts that people don't want for some more picks down the road, especially if it's next year in another deep draft and deep free agent market next year, Joe.
The issue with so Julius Randle has turned up his game, correct?
Yes. At the right time, conveniently.
I'm always weary of contract year performance because he's never played this good. Will he be another Eric Dampier? Eric Dampier will always be on my mind when it comes to contract years. A guy almost won the rebounding title the year he had his expiring contract, and then he was non-existent after he got his big contract. Does Minnesota sign Naz Reid? Do they risk signing Randall, letting Reid go, and then finding out that next year Julius Randle turns into a pumpkin again?
And then they've got Nikhil. They've got 3 free agents. That team is going to be hurt by what they're going to do. And they've got the new owner, Alex Rodriguez, coming in. Will he still spend the kind of money to keep this team together in the offseason?
The apron will be a problem for almost every team in the NBA.
As Moses made a good one, Jerome James. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
He just played like he had sparingly for the Knicks. He just finally get stuff during the playoffs. And yeah, he cashed in like a McIlvain too, Jim McIlvain.
No, Brian, he's never played this well. I've never seen Julius Randle play this well. He did actually. I'm sorry. You know what? Maybe the first year he was with the Knicks, he was a 3-point shooting machine. I remember that year, but I don't think he was. So he improved there that year, and then he kind of veered off after that. And then this year, he put it all together. Notice how, other than one time in the Lakers series, he had an offensive charge call, right? And we were anticipating he was going to be out of control again. Well, that was the only time I saw him do that. And it seems like he plays really well with Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards seems to support Chris Finch in saying, let this guy cook at the beginning and then I'll do my thing later. When you have teammates that do that, that is the ultimate chemistry enhancer. versus maybe somebody out there that might be ball dominant too, much like Julius is. He performs better as a ball dominant player. And initially, maybe people thought that he wouldn't be able to do that with Anthony Edwards being there, but Anthony Edwards has supported it and has been able to play off ball more or pick his spots on when he can actually control the offense. And that whole setup, props to Chris Finch for finding a happy medium there and allowing them to cook at the right moments when they need to.
Xbox says we could sign and trade with Cavs for a center. I'm assuming he would mean Jared Allen. Jared Allen's got a contract, I believe, in the mid-30s. Just
I would love for them to take LeBron if they can give us Jared Allen and Garland. Honestly, if they called us for Jared Allen and Garland and had them and had LeBron go back to Cleveland, I'd do that in a minute. Let him have his last year in Cleveland. That would be my call. I would call Cleveland if I was GM. I'd be over there. Hey guys, give me Jared Allen, give me Garland, and you guys can have LeBron, and maybe you guys can make a run next year. One last run.
Brian's asking, what did you not like about Randall's last year in the Lakers? He hadn't developed his 3-point shot, and he was still out of control.
There was nothing I disliked really. It was too early,
but the effort was there. The effort was always there with Randall.
Yeah, I never disliked Randall. I thought his game was too ISO.
He hadn't developed yet. It wasn't. Yeah, it was all ISO. He hadn't developed an outside shot as of yet, Brian. We all know that he didn't have that yet with the Lakers, and he was good. We always joked that he was good for up to 2 offensive charges per game, Joe. But no one questioned his effort.
My only issue with him is he's too ISO. But the game has evolved to that anyways. So at this point, it works.
All these years later, it's come around to him.
And the reason why it didn't work in New York once Brunson got there was because Brunson is ridiculously ISO. So you're not going to have 2 ISO players, 2 ISO heavy players, really working off each other that much. It's too much. Now again, in Minnesota, Anthony Edwards can play off ball. He's been able to be very effective playing either or, and that's why it's worked.
I'm just going to say best league. That would be great if A, the money worked, and B, LeBron waives his no trade clause to go back to Cleveland. Otherwise, we're wasting.
It's not going to happen, guys. I was just saying that.
Yeah.
And by the way,
that would be good. I would like
thrown in Bronny. Yes, absolutely, throw in Bronny.
Yeah, throw in Bronny. Yes, please throw in Bronny.
I'm ready to throw in my chips for the LeBron James era. You all know that. It's time to focus on something else. I would definitely do that deal, but I don't think Cleveland would anyways. Cleveland wouldn't do that deal.
Randall has developed into a much better all-around player, and again, he's doing it at the right time, Brian, and he's going to get paid. He's going to be one of the few individuals, I think, this offseason is a free agent that's going to get paid. But again, does Minnesota commit to him? Do they commit to Naz Reid, Nickeil Alexander-Walker? Those are the 3 free agents that are going to be on their team. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of decisions they make, and could it benefit anyone else? And with the Lakers, yes, we mentioned and talked about it the other day, Joe. Right now, they don't have the full mid-level exception. But if they play with the salary just a little bit and get a little bit of help from Mr. 23, that could change where they get the full level mid-level, the full mid-level exception. But I'm not sure that's going to be happening because, again,
I don't want that because that would mean they're going to sign him to another year. Just give him let him play out his contract, deal with all that stuff next year. I don't want anything beyond the commitment that you have now. Don't throw in anything except if they win it all. Then, yes, okay, LeBron, you led us to the 2026 championship. Let's do another year. Then at that point, I'll be on board with that. I'll be all right. Hey, look, you brought in another title with Luka, and Rob was able to bring in enough depth to where they could do what they needed to do, and they won it all. Okay, LeBron, you've earned another year. Here's another $50 million. I'm down with that. But I do not commit beyond what's already there right now. And if they do any kind of funny business where, hey, LeBron, can you have a pay cut? Right away, you know what's coming next. Oh, well, give me another year then. No, not at all. Never.
Well, Gregory, if you think that Nico is going to trade again in the not too distant future with the Lakers, more power to you. I just don't think the optics will allow for it again, unless that's absolutely necessary. But I do think, Joe, that in a summer where the Lakers, along with 28 other teams, do not have significant cap space, this could be a very interesting offseason. And the Lakers, if Rob makes the right evaluations in trades, a lot of things could happen that could benefit the Lakers, that could get them in the conference finals next year. I think what we're seeing, it was said earlier today that this is going to be the 7th different champion for the last 7 years. I know that a lot of people made mention of parity in the league, et cetera, et cetera. But to me, it also shows that the door is open for the Lakers with the right opportunity and the right moves that the Lakers can make, even with as you're saying, and I'm paraphrasing when I say this, I'm assuming you're thinking it's like an albatross with the LeBron contract. Even with that in mind, that they can still make enough moves that can realistically put them in a position to be in the conference finals next year. I think it's still a great possibility because I think this league is wide open now. There's no definitive dominant teams, not even OKC, who I think is the favorite right now to go all the way. And it's funny, Vari, because your team, the Indiana Pacers, are the biggest underdog in all this, which I would be putting money on right now, to be kind of honest with you. But right now, I just don't see any team, Joe, that stands out that says, you know what, the Lakers are definitely going to lose to that team. I think the Lakers, if they build a team properly during the offseason, they can put themselves in line for a good run next season.
They can, if they acquire a legitimate starting center and are able to acquire a third really good player using Austin and or Rui. Or if they get really lucky, bringing in somebody that just so happens to go up a level that could be that perimeter player that could keep things honest for Luka from LeBron getting trapped every other play. Those are all the Lakers are going to need a little luck. And most teams need a little luck to win championships. This is what it is. But imagine if we get Alexander Walker, let's say, out of Minnesota, let's say we sign him as a free agent, and he ends up being a guy that ends up putting his game up even more. So you get somebody, let's say, like Alexander Walker, and then you're able to acquire a legitimate starting center without giving up Rui and Austin. Now your depth goes up 2 players. You have 2 extra guys that now you have depth. Guys that are in the rotation that you're not going to have to worry about, is this guy going to show up? Is this guy not going to play? Is this guy going to be able to catch the damn ball under the basket and make a shot? Like those type of things that the Vanderbilts or the Vincents continuously did all year, which was shit when it mattered, right? So those 2 things, if you're able to make that happen, great. Now, the other thing that could really help is if Dalton Connect can at least become a respectable team-focused player, being able to understand schemes a little bit more, being able to coherently understand his role, because his shooting is going to be there. So if he improves, now that's a huge plus. Then what if you draft a second-round player that is useful? What if you get another free agent player that's useful? Those are the ifs that you don't really know. You don't really know. Julius Randle was an if, right? Were you going to get New York Knicks Julius Irving after the first year he was in New York, or when he made the All-Star team, or are you going to get what you got the last 3 years? Well, you got You got Julius from the first year. And the reason why you got that, in my view, is those two things I told you at the beginning. One, Anthony Edwards embraced him, and Chris Finch has been able to use him the right way with the help of Anthony Edwards supporting it. And he's on an expiring contract, and players usually play triple the ability to try to get that next contract. So a lot of things that factor into this. So that also can play into the Rui thing. It could play into the Austin thing. Both of them are going to be going into the last year of their contracts. You don't think those guys are going to be playing their rear ends off? And maybe Austin Reeves improves next year in the playoffs, much like Rui improved this year in the playoffs. Lot of things, lot of variables. It's going to need luck. You're going to need a lot of luck. You're going to need a lot of smart business decisions this offseason.
Best league, if we got Naz Reid, you're still needing a big man who can rebound. Because Naz Reid is only 6'9".
The Lakers can't. Naz Reid's going to get anywhere between $20 and $30 million a year. There's no way the Lakers are going to afford that, anyways.
Yeah,
and Minnesota's not going to trade him. Yeah, they're not going to trade him to the Lakers, anyways. At least not unless they fleece.
It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Again, he doesn't solve your rebounding issue. He's a stretch five, great stretch five, but again, he's only 6'9", so he doesn't solve a lot of your big man issues. And like Joe says, the money is not going to work out for you as far as signing him as a free agent. So good try, though, Best League. Good try. And I know that it was Div asking for Lowry Markin and Walker Kessler and picks. Utah's leaving, in Utah getting Reeves, Maxey, Gabe Vincent, and Vanderbilt. First of all, Vanderbilt, with 3 years left on his contract, you're going to need to throw in some more pick swaps on that to get rid of his contract, because we saw how inconsistent a player he was, for lack of a better term. I mean, Jamie is still in love with him. Empire Jeffson's still in love with him. And Joe and I still can't stand watching.
Terrible play when it matters.
Yeah,
terrible player.
But Empire Jeff and Jamie are still on that mountain, and Joe and I have gotten off that mountain a long time ago. But Lowry Markin,
I don't think I ever was on the Vanderbilt mountain, honestly.
Well, I just don't understand why a guy that was having issues with his feet, you signed to a multi-year extension.
I thought maybe because they could use him. Initially, when I heard they were going to sign him, I thought, okay, maybe they can use him pick up that money and you can use him in trades. But giving him a player option in his last season, I don't know what it is with the Lakers and giving these guys player options. They're not going to not take those damn player options typically, unless they're Austin Reeves, who can probably get more money. I don't know.
And we talked about.
I don't care what anyone says, Jamie, Jeff, or what. Look, I don't care how much. I don't care. Vanderbilt is a horrible basketball player. Anyone who can't catch a basketball and dunk from 1 foot consistently over and over again is not a basketball player to me. He can barely hit free throws. What is the point? This isn't 1995 where you can have a Dennis Rodman getting 80 rebounds, where at least if he got 80 rebounds a game, then maybe there'd be something there. But he's not doing that. What's he doing? Once in a while, he's guarding the passing lane and getting a turnover. Well, he's making up in a negative way when he does that with botched, wide open baskets under the rim. I don't get the infatuation with Jared Vanderbilt. I never have. Well, they won a lot of games with him. The percentages go up when they win. The records. I don't give a shit. I'm talking about when it matters. He has become a tulip when it matters, year in and year out. Much like Austin Reeves has. But it's worse with Jared Vanderbilt because he can't do the basic stuff, and he's an NBA player. You can't catch a basketball. You can barely dunk when you're 6'8" with arms the size of Inspector Gadget's arms. How does that even work, other than the fact that he's mentally off? I don't like dumb players or weak-minded players. I don't like them. I don't like them, and I never will. Hated Kwame Brown. Hated Samaki Walker. I'm talking about their basketball, not them. Couldn't stand watching those guys play basketball. It was so aggravating. Guys that are 7 feet tall that play like guys that are from the 24-hour fitness when we play. Stiffs.
I do want to mention that Rui, I can't be on the board on saying he's horrible on defense. He played with great effort in defense in every playoff. Whatever he does during the regular season, I get you can go ahead and argue on that all day long. I probably agree with you there, but in the playoffs against Jokic, when against the Denver series, this past series, he was the only one that played, I thought, consistently hard defense everywhere, and that includes DFS. I think Rui did play with great effort on the defensive end in this past playoffs, so I'm going to have to disagree with you, Jay, on that. And he does shoot 40% from three, but he's not a natural fit at the 3 or the 4. So if that's a better way to phrase that, then that's fine. But Joe, we're going to have to do something, because if you let those guys walk for nothing in the summer of 2026, that might be a hard thing to take. That's the thing. If you let them play out, no matter how well they do in their contract years, and you let it play out, and they're gone, and they're here.
I don't think
after
you
the
have to
trade
worry
deadline.
as much as long as LeBron isn't extended.
Okay.
Because now that just becomes more money that's freeing up. It's not like, oh my God, we're losing that money, and then we still stuck with LeBron and Luka, and that's it. The big deal, the big decision, the first big decision that the Lakers have to make is they have to make sure that LeBron's coming back. Number one, he's coming back. The other, make sure that it's his last season, at least for now. That's the number one thing I'm waiting on. I'll be able to assess a better game plan at that point once that gets done one way or the other. Div, I'm giving Pelinka the benefit of the doubt considering what he did for the Luka trade.
No, Joker. We watch him. We watch the game. Vando does not play elite defense. I don't know what you're smoking. He did not play elite defense at all this past season. I don't know where. If he played such elite defense, how come he was only in there for 15 minutes a game? So there's no way. I don't care what statistic you're going to throw at me, because the eye test tells you no. I saw him get beat by no-name guys on Minnesota, on other teams during the regular season. Yeah, he gets a steal here and there and creates havoc here and well. That's the best thing he does, is create havoc on the defensive end. But he is not a great one-on-one defender. He gets easily screened. Remember Jeff Van Gundy in that Denver series? They benched him because he got easily screened off and beat so many times that they had to bench him. He got played off the court on the defensive end. So yeah, don't tell me he's an elite defender. That went out the door a long time ago. It's DFS is the only above average defender that you can say is on the Lakers team on this time, Joe. And again, you're not going to get me off that mountain either. Why would you play an elite defender only 15 minutes a game, Joe? If he's such an
he's not an elite defender.
So there you go. That's the answer.
And something that needs to be very clear: when it matters, he no-shows bad. That's it. That's his game. Go look at the tape. Don't listen to us. Go look at the tape. It's not my problem. Not my fault.
Yeah. Take a look. I mean, it's right there.
So again, Div, this does factor into the decision. If I'm Luka's agent, I make sure the Lakers do not extend LeBron. What does that mean? Well, guys, are you guys ready to start building the next dynasty? Or are you guys going to be kissing LeBron's ass for another year? Because you know damn well LeBron is not going to pass up another $50 million. This is a guy that doesn't pay for subscriptions for music, and he's worth $1 billion. This guy likes his money. Now, I'm not downgrading him for doing that. I'm kind of that way with that stuff. It's a lot of times just the principle of the matter. I get it.
Yeah.
But it shows who he is, and that he doesn't. I don't believe, and maybe I'll be wrong here, I don't believe LeBron is going to get the admiration after his career like a Kobe or an MJ. I think he'll be more like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which is ironic considering they have the two greatest careers in NBA history.
I'm beginning to think, Joe, that Vando is almost as divisive.
No, there's no divisive. You look
as well. No, in the eyes of fans, I was just saying. It's,
look, Jeff is a determined
LeBron.
man. Jeff can get you with his. He loves to use the couch phrase. You just sit on you know what's are sitting on the couch judging things, right? No, he doesn't say that to me. He just says that to me in jest. But sometimes people will fall in love with a player because it might remind them of somebody, blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't matter in the end. Jared Vanderbilt does something that I have always loathed my entire sports life. That is mental weakness in the basics of basketball. If you can't catch a basketball and you're an NBA player under the rim and dunk it at 6'8" with arms the size of Wembanyama, then what you don't belong on the court. I don't like players that are not focused. And it's easy for me to say this. Are you going to pull this? Well, Joe, you don't know what it's like. No. You're not gonna use that bullshit excuse. Okay, it has nothing to do with me. Okay, just like if a plumber comes to my house, okay, they come in and they bust my garbage disposal, and they've been in business 30 years, right? But they screw up my shit. Now what? Am I supposed to not say anything because they've been in the business for 30 years and I haven't? Fuck that. I'm supposed to pay you for this. I'm paying with my time. So, God, you better goddamn well better believe I'm going to complain. I'm wasting 2.5 hours of my time and then talking about it for another 2 hours about your ass. You better damn believe I'm going to tell the truth about it. Has nothing to do with me. Why can't you catch the ball under the rim? Over and over and over again. You can barely dribble under the rim. I'm not asking you to dribble the ball from one side of the court to the other. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. He's not a point guard. He's not a guard. I get it. I'm not going to force Shaq to do that either, right? But how does a 6'8" player over and over and over again make those mistakes? And why is he only playing 12 minutes a game if he's so valuable? I don't know where your brain is on that. And hating LeBron, as far as some of the guys' interpretation tonight, I don't hate anyone. I despise things that people do. LeBron has done things that I despise, but this has nothing to do with that. If this was LeBron in 2016, I said this in detail. You put up with it. You have to put up with his stupidness when he's that good. But when he's not that good, what's the point? When he can't close a door every game in and game out, at what point do you have to change up what you're doing? If you can't close, what are you good for then at $50 million a year? At least, can he be a decoy? No, he can't even inbound the goddamn ball. He's supposed to be a genius, right? That's what I'm being told. He's a genius. He can remember a play from December 16th, 2008. But the motherfucker cannot inbound the ball to an open Austin Reeves coming straight at him. All of a sudden, he knocks it off somebody's knee and they get the ball. What is being smart? What's your definition of smart? To me, fundamentals. Working the fundamentals is smart. Now, now, mistakes happen. Sure. Bad game in Chicago? Sure. He just had a brain shutdown in that moment. It happens. But over and over and over and over again, then that's a trend. Then that's who you are. And that needs to go. And if we're going to sit here and talk about how, well, if we get a good enough team where we're leading by 10 at the end of the game, yeah, how the hell is that going to happen? Who are they going to get so that they can go into every game where they're up 10? When the hell does that happen? Doesn't matter how good your team is in today's NBA. With as soft as these bitches are, when does that happen? Who is a dominant team? Other than the Celtics running through everybody last year because every single number one player in the East was out of every single round that they played in. And then they run into Dallas, who was spent, dead. Kyrie Irving, you didn't even know Kyrie Irving was playing in that series. That's how spent they were. So, at the end of the day, there's two things that has to happen this offseason. Two things. Number one, you must commit to Luka Doncic. And by doing that, you cannot extend LeBron James. Not right now. Number two, you need to stack this team with enough players and keep your depth so you can make one last run with LeBron. You do those two things, and whether you win it all or not, I'll sit there and I'll go, you guys tried. You made the right decisions. It just didn't work out. I promise that's what I would say.
So with that, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Cannot thank you enough for joining us. Truly appreciate it. Best League says, Gerald, how Joe wants to replace LeBron if we trade our expirings this year with no cap space in the next 3 years.
Well, I mean, if you look at the contracts next year, they pretty much everyone's off the books.
Yeah.
Who they're going to get next summer is going to be a question of how things develop. Remember, guys, we said this a few minutes ago. This is unprecedented what's coming. This apron, 1 and 2, is going to have a lot of changes. It's going to force a lot of teams to do some changes. Owners dreaded the luxury tax. The aprons are 10 times worse than the luxury tax threshold. So you're going to see a lot of movement. It couldn't have probably come at a better time. I don't know what this is like. We've never seen this before in the NBA. We're kind of putting it together in the common sense factor of how these owners operate, that because these guys are going to want to stay out of that area, that they're going to be doing a lot of trades for players that normally they wouldn't trade, but they're going to have to because they can't afford to get to that threshold. That's worse than what it was before. I don't know. Again, I can't figure out why the hell they voted this in. I am just in complete confusion on why all parties agreed to this. Actually, I do know why. I'm sorry. I do know why. They wanted the $70 billion TV contract to go through. It was a perfect jack. It was a perfect jack move by Adam Silver. He avoided the lockout by making sure that Dune TV contract lined up at the same time so that these guys would not lock the players out. And we'll deal with whatever later. Well, let's get our $70 billion first. And now they got Michael Jordan. And now they got Michael Jordan coming to NBC. I don't know what the hell they're paying Michael Jordan to come play with NBC. That is a weird thing. When I found that out, I was like, what the hell just happened? Why the hell would Michael want to go talk basketball with a bunch of yahoos on NBC? That's a weird thing. I don't know what the hell what kind of deal they made with him.
Just want to mention to you,
probably
Joe,
ownership with NBC and Comcast, some kind of ownership or stock.
Well, the Lakers should have a lot of, unless, like you said, the expirings go. But even if that's the case, they should still have cap space in the summer 26, and they will have their own first-round pick.
There you go. Thank you, Gerald. They're going to have a first pick finally next year. So first pick again, second-round pick. You're going to have, if they continue to just keep what they have now, everyone's coming off the books. I'm talking if they keep it the way it is now. I don't know if that's going to happen. But everything comes off the books other than Luka and a few other guys. That's it.
Or if they could trade Vando. There you go. That's even less. So
Well, even if they don't, he's
it'll
the
be
only
Dalton
one.
Vando. It'll be essentially it's Dalton Vando and
He's
Luka.
the only one. He would be the only one that is making double digit, and he's only making 12 million that after next year. He's the only one making double digits that's signed as of right now. Austin Reeves is obviously going to opt out. Dorian Finney-Smith either is going to pick up his contract, which I think he will, and that'll be it. Like that, the Lakers will have plenty of money to go after a star in a trade or build a team next year, and they'll have draft picks, and they'll be able to focus on that. I have said this on record that I don't believe the Lakers will truly be, unless something drastic happens, like a star player demands to come to LA and he's here. I don't think the Lakers are truly going to be off-season favorites until probably the summer of 2027. Which, coincidentally, if Luka decides to sign a 2+1, which I would recommend him to do if I'm his agent, because as soon as that second-year contract is up, he will then be able to sign a 5-year contract for $413 million. That would be a longer and bigger deal than what he would have gotten even with Dallas had he not been traded this year. But he's going to have to bet on himself a little bit, which I don't see why he wouldn't.
Yeah, and Div, why would LeBron want to go to Golden State? He had the opportunity. I remember last season, I believe near the trade deadline, they even approached LeBron. I think it was Draymond that approached LeBron about it, and he declined. And so it didn't get anywhere. So if he didn't want to go to Golden State then, why would he want to go to Golden State now? Because that team is obviously not much better in shape than what the Lakers is as of now. Now things can change, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, right now it is the Lakers fast break. A lot of things are going to hopefully be going down for the Lakers this offseason. A lot of trades hopefully will be made, and hopefully, again, the Lakers will be able to build a much deeper roster and fix some of the things that have ailed the Lakers. But yes, I think the league is wide open right now. There is no dominant team in the NBA. I don't even think whoever wins the championship this year can be considered a dominant team, even if it is OKC and their 68 wins. We've seen how Denver stretched them to 7 games. They are fallible in a certain extent, and the Lakers manhandled them in 2 straight games in OKC during the course of the season. So it's all about matchups. So again, I think the Lakers, with the right tweaking, can have a promising future. But what do you guys think? You can let me know in the comments either which way. So please let us know your thoughts after the show. But again, we're here. Ken, I thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back hopefully Tuesday night. Joe, any experiments for this week?
There will be, yes.
Okay.
Dodgers
no longer playing the Angels, so that's a step in the right direction.
We'll see who's injured again tomorrow.
Exactly. Who's got a hangnail on the IR. Hey, look, you just made the Angels' entire season because that's all they're going to be known for. Yay, beat the Dodgers. Yay. Dodgers go on to take the title, but Angels one up them for a weekend, but that's all the best they can do. But again, it is the Lakers fast break. For those who are interested, we are doing the playoff games. So Tuesday night, Wednesday night in Australia. It is, of course, the playback.tv/ Lakers fast break channel. Dodgers on Monday.
Yeah, they're playing Arizona tomorrow.
There you go. Well, then go ahead and check it out on the Experiment channel, Joe Sorrell Experiment channel on playback as well. So for Joe Sorrell, it's the Angels, the Dodgers. Can't do anything else right, that organization. I mean, they let go Ohtani for nothing. And then Mike Trout, I don't want to say he's washed up, but damn.
He's done.
I mean, guy, he is, what was he? I saw it, first 100 bats, 17 hits. He was hitting 170. Yeah, sure, he had 9 home runs, but 170.
It's one of the saddest we as baseball fans had the modern day Mickey Mantle, and all that's come from it was one playoff series where he hasn't even won one game.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a tragedy, and that's part of the issue with baseball that doesn't seem to get fixed. You cannot let generational players go out like that. That doesn't market your game very well. I don't know what Manfred can do about that. I don't know if he cares. I don't know if these owners care. Honestly, Gerald, I don't think these owners give two shits, especially baseball owners.
Are they making money? That's
I mean, think about it for a second. Just think about this. It's not just the owners, too. It's just baseball people in general. Tim Kirchin, right? You know who Tim Kirchin is, right?
Mhm.
Baseball czar of the media, right? He had a story about this. I think it was about 10 years ago. He had a story about the Pete Rose thing. And he had mentioned at some event, because he was one of the 12 voters, apparently 10 years ago or whatever, right? And he had mentioned how if Pete Rose, with the people that were there, if Pete Rose was eligible to be into the Hall of Fame, he would vote for him. Frank Robertson gave him the Riot Act. Now, God rest Frank Robinson's soul. He's been passed away since 2019. But he gave Kirchin the Riot Act and said, "What are you talking about? This man bet on baseball." He goes, "If that guy ever gets into the Baseball Hall of Fame, you would never see me there again." That's just Frank Robinson. I'm sure Johnny Bench has made it very clear that he don't want his ex-teammate there. And by the way, Frank Robinson did play with Pete Rose as well. So these guys actually knew him. One of them was a dynasty, played in a dynasty with him. So why do you? I swear, fans care more about this stuff, and it doesn't even affect them. And they won't listen to Johnny Bench and Frank Robinson about Pete Rose. Oh, he belongs in the Hall of Fame. What difference does it make now? What difference does it make? He's dead. He's gone. What? His son is going to enjoy it? His ex-wife? Whatever? What? So I think the funny thing about this, the irony in it all is Pete Rose became more famous not getting into the Hall of Fame than getting in the Hall of Fame, because would they have even remembered Pete Rose? He'd be like anybody else, right? But what difference is it now? So this is baseball for you. They complicated even that to a degree. And again, by the way, I agree with baseball. What Pete Rose did was bad. It was really bad. Betting on baseball while you're managing, I don't care if you're managing to win. That's bad. You can't do that. There has to be repercussions for that. And I don't believe he should go into the Hall of Fame ever. It's over. And now it's even more because he's gone. It doesn't matter anymore. So baseball people are very stubborn and very matter of fact. Now, to that degree, to those things, they're good. But to the other part, with ruining Ernie Banks never saw the playoffs as a Cub. Imagine that. These are bad things. Tony Gwynn's father, because Tony was loyal to San Diego, loyal to the Padres, his father said for years, he's like, if he had gone to the Yankees, he would have won multiple championships. But Tony never wanted to do it. And it seems like Mike Trout's in that same mindset. He's in love with being an Anaheim Angel for some reason. At least Tony got to see 2 World Series appearances, though.
Yeah.
At least they were competitive, right?
Yep. Although I'd wish he had just chewed sunflower seeds, and I'll leave it at that.
But yeah, baseball needs to. I guess those things happen. You know, maybe you can't. Nothing's perfect, I guess, but I don't know. Mike Trout, that's a different one, man. That's a different one. That's Mickey Mantle of our time, man. That guy cannot. That guy cannot go to one playoff game. In all these years, this guy was the best baseball player for 5 years, at least 5. And I've said this in any sport. If you're ever the best player in anything for 5 years, you are an all-time great, Hall of Fame, first ballot, no questions asked. Now, in football, it's a little different because it's more position, right? But baseball is the easiest one with basketball. Best player for 5 years.
Ouch. And he's averaging $37 million a year. He gets the same amount of money through the 2030 season. Ouch.
Yeah. Chris Stapps. Well,
Again,
Chris Stapps he is hanging on by a thread, man. He's like what Andrew Luck would have been had he kept playing.
it's the best of times and the worst of times.
It's like,
Mike
man,
Trout.
these guys, some guy that you look at somebody like LeBron, you look at somebody like Karl Malone, you look at somebody like Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis is somebody needs to study that guy's physiology, man. How is that man still walking? That's the first question I'd ask him. And maybe he's in pain, but maybe his tolerance is not human. And maybe he does take painkillers or had 50 surgeries. I don't know. But every time I see Ray Lewis, he looks like he never played in the NFL. You know how some guys you can tell they're walking a certain way? Ray Lewis looks like he never played in the NFL when I see him walking around. Crazy how some people are just gifted with that bone structure and that muscle ligaments. Just crazy. Mike Trout, unfortunately, had a nice little run for about a decade, but then after that,
started to break down.
It just wasn't there for him. You think it's maybe that thyroid thing that he has?
It could be. I mean,
because that stuff that he takes for the thyroid, I've heard that stuff weakens your bones.
Well, I had mentioned, I think it was just around the time you started going on the show. I was on this show on the air, and we were just doing a sidetrack, Jamie and I, because he's an avid Aegis fan. And I said, you need to trade Trout and Ohtani now. You need to train him, get everything you can for him. And he thought I was just, I was speaking hogwash. You'd think that I would have said something bad about his mother. He was just so appalled that I even made that suggestion. And now, years later, it's just like, sorry, I saw the writings right there. This Angels organization, it's just so inept at building teams. You just have to understand, once you have these great players, if you just understand just for a second you can't build around them, then you need to let them go and try and build and get something to help build your team forward if you can't do it yourself. So, yeah, it's just amazing. But it'll be in the case of what could have been, I think, for Mike Trout, indeed. But it is, of course, Joe Soro. Please go ahead and catch more of these great conversations on the world of entertainment, the world of sports, and so much more on the Joe Soro Experiment channel, aka the Joe Soro channel. Go ahead and check it out on YouTube. And of course, catch the Dodgers games on the playback channel, Joe Soro Experiment as well. I will see you Tuesday for the Western Conference Finals. Oklahoma City hosting Minnesota. We'll see. What are your odds now in both of these series before we head it out? I think if in the West, I think if Minnesota doesn't get game one, I think it's going to be a very quick series. I think in the Indiana, New York, I think it's going 7. And I'm giving Indiana a chance. I'm giving Indiana very much of a chance.
Yeah, Indiana has a chance, but I'm going to pick the Knicks and Oklahoma City to go into the finals. And
I'm picking OKC and Indiana. I think the upset.
I think the Knicks are going to find a way.
Really? I wouldn't put it past them. It's going to be close either which way. I think it's going to be 7 games.
I think the Knicks,
it's going to be brutal.
I think the Knicks are going to win the East, and then Oklahoma City wins the West. And it's as pick them as they get from there, because the Knicks can really, really hammer the front court of Oklahoma City. much like how the Lakers were kind of messing with those guys when they were really playing. And if they got if Cat plays the way he played against Boston, Brunson's going to do his thing. Bridges is coming of age. I thought that trade they might have given up too much, but he stepped up his game in the playoffs.
Might be an AD trade, Joe, where it gets them one title, and you're trading all they get them one title.
If the Knicks better take advantage of this, because you're right. I don't think they're going to see another finals win if they don't win it this year. Their team is not built and most teams are not. Most teams are not built to win a lot, at least not right now. Think about this for a second. I said this before. There has not been, like in those 7 years, there hasn't been another champion. It's been one team all 7.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like, Golden State won one and then they didn't win the next year and then they won the next. No, it's 7 separate teams the next 7 years or the current 7 years. And it's probably going to be that again next year. Just depends on how it plays out, right? Because I don't think Boston's going to be back again. I think they're going to be gone with Tatum not really being able to play probably most of next year. And they're going to have to, they're talking about people who are going to be doing a lot of trades. Brad Stevens is going to really earn his money this summer. But if the Pacers win it all, there is whoever wins it all with the remaining 4, there's a good story behind it. Indiana Pacers, the state that created basketball, finally wins an NBA championship after how many years of existence? I think Indiana Pacers were in existence in the ABA since the 60s when they merged in 1976 with the NBA. So you're talking that was the last time that was the last undefeated 1976 was the last undefeated NCAA champion, which was the Indiana Hoosiers with Bobby Knight.
Mm-hmm.
I think they went 32-0. So yeah, it would be a cool story if Indiana won it all, too. But I'm picking the Knicks in Oklahoma City, and my instincts say that Oklahoma City will probably eke it out if they can handle that pressure a little bit. But I don't know. It's just a pick 'em to me if it's that. Either way, I don't know. I got to see how they play in the conference finals, and then I'll probably be able to make a better assessment.
So with that, also as well, please let us know your thoughts on the upcoming conference finals right here at the Lakers Fast Break. So for Joe Soro, who will hopefully change his name to Ox right there. He's no longer Jamie Sweet. It is Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Don't forget to join us on Tuesday, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break, and then we'll do something after the game. Right here, we'll have another snack pack waiting for you. I think we'll talk about something good. Something will come up. A good subject will come up by that time. I'm pretty sure of it. Always seems to in Lakers land. So we'll make sure we got something covered for you. Always right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.